The first thing I noticed was how quiet it felt at roll call. I'd only been an officer for 9 months, and every morning since I'd started, the squad room buzzed like a hive. Too much coffee, too many dumb jokes, the sizzle of the old vending machine in the corner. But today, it was different. People kept clearing their throats, staring at their phones, and every few minutes someone coughed hard, like they were trying to get something out. I remember thinking, are we all getting sick or what? I tried to act like I belonged. I still get nervous around Sergeant Monroe, even though I know he only yells when you mess up paperwork. He came in late, looking pissed and tired, holding a Dunkin' cup that had lipstick on the lid. His wife left him 6 months ago, but nobody ever mentions it. He just grunted, "Let's get moving," and everyone shuffled out. Nobody said a word about the blood smeared on the outside door handle. I stared at it for a second before using my sleeve to open the door. I thought maybe someone cut their hand. I didn't say anything. My partner Oscar was already in the cruiser, messing with the radio. He's from Brooklyn and thinks the NYPD is better than any force in Jersey, but he's been good to me. He didn't talk much today, just kept dialing stations and mumbling, "Static, static. Why is it all static?" We rolled through town, and the weirdest thing was how empty it felt. No kids biking to school. 2 dudes in military camo were standing next to a white van outside the pharmacy. They watched us pass but didn't wave. I couldn't see their faces, just big sunglasses and masks. My phone buzzed in my pocket. Mom. I let it go to voicemail. She calls all the time, worried I'll end up like Uncle Mike, shot during a traffic stop in Philly. I'll call her after shift, I thought. That was before everything went sideways. We got a call about a possible break-in at Maplewood Estates, the fancy condo block. The dispatcher sounded distracted, her voice echoing. When we pulled in, the front desk guy, Bob, was sweating through his shirt. He kept glancing at the elevators. I asked what was up, and he just shook his head and whispered, "People are acting off, that's all." Oscar smirked and made a zombie face behind his back. I pretended to laugh, but I was watching Bob's hands shake. We checked the hallway cameras. There were smears of something dark on the elevator doors, like someone dragged wet paint or blood across the metal. We knocked on the apartment where the call came from. No answer. I started to feel my chest tighten up, and I told myself it was nothing, that I was just letting rookie nerves mess with me. I tried calling dispatch for backup, but my radio squawked and fizzed out. Oscar said, "Phone's down too. Try yours." I checked my phone. No service. In red at the top. I sent a text to my girlfriend Liz anyway. "Weird shift. Call you later." The little bubble spun and spun. Never went through. We did a walk-through. Nobody inside. Back at the car, Oscar finally spoke up. "It's like the world took a wrong turn last night and we're just catching up." He laughed, but his eyes looked watery. I didn't want to admit it, but I was scared too. It was the way the sky looked. That sick, yellowy haze you get before a tornado. Only this wasn't tornado country. An hour later, I tried to call Mom again. Still nothing. Oscar's wife wasn't answering either. Then the news started acting strange. One channel said everything was fine. The next was a guy in a suit screaming about containment and stay in your homes. Another station just looped an emergency alert, but the words on the screen glitched, and the audio buzzed out every few seconds. Oscar punched the dash and yelled, "Are you seeing this, rookie?" I nodded. I wanted to tell him I felt like puking, but I just kept staring at my phone, hoping for a bar of signal. When we got back to the station, the place was almost empty. Monroe was gone. A couple of other officers, Davis, the guy who always borrows everyone's pens, and Patel, who brings in homemade cookies, were huddled in the back, whispering. Davis' shirt sleeve was ripped, and he was dabbing at something red on his arm with a napkin. I asked if he was okay. He said he cut it on some glass, but he wouldn't meet my eyes. I went out back to get some air. The street was so still, like the whole town hit pause. Then I saw a woman across the lot, limping and dragging her left foot. At first I thought she was drunk, but then she started pounding on a parked car, both fists slamming the roof, her head snapping back and forth. Nobody moved to help her. After a minute, she just staggered away, dragging her foot, leaving a line of something dark behind. I started to feel the panic. I thought of Liz. I thought of Mom. I checked my phone again. Still nothing. I felt stupid for wanting to cry. Back inside, Oscar was pacing the break room, muttering, "I'm telling you, this isn't normal. We gotta lock up. We gotta do something." I wanted to say you're overreacting, but deep down I knew he was right. The radios weren't working, the phones were dead, and the last news report I'd caught said something about non-responsive individuals and secure all exits. Nobody at the station wanted to say the word, but we all felt it. The itch of fear under our skin, the sense that whatever was going on was way bigger than us. That's when Monroe came back, his uniform splattered with something brown. "Everyone in the bunker, now." No explanation, just those words. He didn't look at any of us, just grabbed his keys and started unlocking the heavy steel door at the back of the station. Oscar grabbed my arm, squeezed it once. "Let's go, rookie." We all shuffled down the stairs. 5 officers, 1 dispatcher, nobody talking. The bunker smelled like metal and old sweat. Monroe slammed the door shut and locked it with a thick bar. "Nobody leaves until I say," he snapped. I sat on a bunk, my hands shaking, and stared at the little vent in the wall. All I could think was, this can't be happening. I thought of Liz, of Mom, of the dog I never got around to adopting. I wished I'd called home. I wished I'd said I love you, and I just knew that something was really, really wrong. I didn't sleep that first night in the bunker. Nobody did. It was just 8 of us in that underground concrete box, surrounded by the constant hum of the old generator and the muffled panic of people trying not to talk about what was actually happening. Monroe made us pile our weapons in the center table, 1 pistol each, and put the rest in a locker. I could smell Oscar's deodorant mixing with the scent of old socks and bleach. Every 20 minutes, someone got up to check the little slit of glass in the bunker door, like we'd see anything except the back hallway and a busted fire extinguisher. I tried calling Liz again. I don't know why. Still nothing. The only person who got a signal was Patel, who kept showing us a text she got from her mom, but it was just gibberish, random letters and a photo of a cracked window. "I think she meant to send more," Patel kept saying. Her voice cracked, and she finally went quiet. The lights flickered around 4 a.m. Davis started snoring, then choking. I shook him awake, and he slapped my hand away, breathing heavy. He looked pale and sweaty, but it wasn't the first time I'd seen him look rough after a night shift, so I didn't push it. Then came the banging, real, solid, echoing thuds somewhere above us. At first I thought it was a car wreck, or maybe Monroe's ex-wife showing up to yell at him again, but it just kept going, slow and weird. Not like anyone was trying to break in, just pounding over and over. Monroe stood by the door, shotgun in hand, jaw locked. He waited a long time before he finally said, "Davis, with me." Davis rolled off his bunk, groaning, and I saw the bandage on his arm was soaked through. "You should let me look at that," Patel offered, but Davis brushed her off. "I'm fine, just a scratch." That's what everyone always says. Monroe and Davis left the bunker for maybe 5 minutes. It felt like 5 hours. I could hear more banging, closer now. Someone else screamed. I'm not sure who. Then Monroe burst back in, alone, sweating bullets. He slammed the steel door behind him. "Don't ask," he barked, and locked every latch. We all pressed in, but nobody had the guts to say it out loud. Davis didn't come back. We tried the radio, the backup, the CB, nothing but static. Monroe yelled at Oscar for breathing too loud. Nobody could sit still. That's when the first infected got in. It was a dispatcher named Allie who'd gone out on a bathroom run. She burst through the inner bunker door, eyes wide, mouth hanging open, hands dripping with blood. She wasn't screaming, though. She wasn't really doing anything. Just staring. Patel called her name, then Allie snapped. Her head jerked sideways, teeth bared, and she lunged. Monroe pulled his gun so fast I almost didn't process what was happening. He shot her twice in the chest. She didn't stop. She just slammed into him, biting, scratching. Blood hit the bunker wall. It splattered across Oscar's badge. Monroe finally put one in her head. That stopped her. Nobody spoke for a long time. Patel was sobbing, Monroe was bleeding, and Oscar threw up in a trash can. I felt like I was somewhere else, floating outside my own body. This was a woman I'd shared donuts with 3 days ago. She'd been showing me pictures of her cat. Now there was blood pooling on the floor around her sneakers, and I couldn't look away. We stripped Monroe's jacket and wrapped his arm. He didn't flinch, just stared at the wall, breathing fast. "Nobody leaves," he kept repeating, like a mantra. Oscar and I took turns cleaning up the blood. The smell of metal and bleach made my eyes burn. I tried not to think about Davis or Allie or the way Monroe's hand shook when he reloaded his gun. Time blurred. I remember counting the emergency rations, thinking, if we're stuck down here a week, we'll run out of coffee first. The jokes stopped working. We took turns sleeping, but nobody really did. At some point, I heard whispering from the back room. I found Patel rocking back and forth, clutching her phone, still waiting for her mom to text back. She looked up at me and said, "They're not dead, not really." I wanted to argue, but I just nodded. Because honestly, after seeing what Allie did, I didn't know what the hell was real anymore. When the generator died, we sat in the dark, listening to the world above. Shouts, crashes, a car horn that never seemed to stop. I heard scratching at the air vent and realized I was gripping my pistol so tight my hand ached. Oscar started praying out loud, low and desperate, words running together. I almost joined him. It got worse when Monroe finally snapped. He tried to open the bunker door. "We can't stay here," he shouted. "We have to get out. We have to find Davis." Nobody could stop him. He threw open the hatch, shotgun ready, and vanished up the stairs. We heard him scream, not tough sergeant scream, but real guttural terror. Oscar wanted to run after him, but I held him back. "You go up there, you're dead," I whispered, or worse. It was just 4 of us now. Me, Oscar, Patel, and Sarah, the rookie dispatcher who hadn't said a word since Allie died. We waited in the dark, with the heavy steel door closed and something scratching at the other side. Somewhere, deep in my bones, I felt it settle. The rules were different now. The world had gone sideways, and I couldn't trust anything, not the radio, not the doors, not even the people I'd bled with. I thought of Liz, of Mom, and wondered if I'd ever see the sky again. If I did, I knew it wouldn't look the same. Nothing would. I looked around at the faces in the faint blue glow of someone's phone screen, and I realized I wasn't just scared anymore. I was changed. Whatever was happening outside, whatever was coming for us next, it wasn't going to stop. And I was starting to wonder if I could, or if I'd even want to, survive it. The next hours, or maybe days, bled together. In the bunker, with the vents clogged and the lights out, it was hard to know what time it was. Oscar kept track by checking his watch every 5 minutes, but I saw the hands were stopped. Battery dead. Patel started coughing. Nobody wanted to say what we were all thinking. Even whispering, "Are you bitten?" felt like it might make it real. The air was sour and hot. Nobody had showered. Sarah hadn't moved in hours. curled on her bunk clutching a photo of her little brother. Oscar passed around half a granola bar. Patel refused hers. She kept muttering, "I need air. I need air." Her hands shook so bad I could hear her ring tapping the metal bed frame. At some point, the scratching above us stopped. That was almost worse. I pressed my ear to the wall and heard nothing. No movement, no sirens, not even the wind. I started to wonder if we were the last ones left. That was when Patel got up and staggered toward the bunker door, breathing like she'd run a marathon. "Let me out! Please, I just need to see if my mom—" Her eyes were glassy, her lips cracked. I stepped in front of her. "No one's going up there," I said, but my voice came out smaller than I wanted. Oscar nodded, but I could tell he was losing hope too. He kept glancing at Patel's arm, where the skin was going gray, where she kept scratching. We argued. Not loud, but enough. Patel begged. Oscar said, "We have to think about ourselves." Sarah just stared at the wall. I could hear Monroe's last scream echoing in my head, and for a second I almost let Patel go. I even reached for the door. But I stopped myself. "If you're sick, we can't let you out. We can't let you back in, either." That was the first time I realized I sounded like Monroe. Patel started to cry. "I'm not sick," she said, but I could see the truth in her face. She knew. She slumped against the door, sliding down until she was a heap on the floor, crying so softly I almost didn't hear her. That was when Sarah finally spoke. "We can't help her. We can't help anybody. We have to do what it takes to live." Nobody slept after that. Oscar and I took turns standing watch, guns loaded, pointed at the steel door. Patel didn't move. After a while, she stopped making noise altogether. We all knew what that meant. I tried not to look at her, but every time I closed my eyes, I saw her face, begging, desperate, the way Mom looked the last time I left home. Oscar was the first to say it. "We can't stay here. This place is a coffin. If she turns, we're dead." Sarah nodded, eyes empty, voice cold. "We have to leave. It's over." I wanted to argue. I wanted to say something brave, but the truth was, she was right. We packed what we could, flashlights, ammo, what was left of the food. Oscar put a hand on my shoulder. "You ready, rookie?" I tried to laugh, but it came out as a shiver. I don't even know what ready means anymore. We prized the door open as slowly as we could. No sound from the hall. Sarah went first, gun up, eyes sharp. I followed, with Oscar behind me, heart pounding so loud I thought it might echo off the walls. We stepped over Patel. I wanted to say goodbye, but I couldn't. There was nothing left to say. The hallway was wrecked. Bullet holes, dried blood, the faint stink of rot. I stepped around a pile of uniforms that used to be people I knew. I didn't let myself look close enough to recognize them. We moved fast, staying low, hugging the walls. No sign of Monroe, no sign of Davis. Just a station full of ghosts and shadows. As we reached the back exit, Sarah stopped short. Outside, the sky was gray, thick with ash or dust or something else, floating in the weak sunlight. The town was dead. No cars, no people. Just abandoned buildings and a few bodies sprawled in the street. In the distance, I heard something. A howl, or maybe just the wind. But I knew we weren't alone. We moved together, crossing the empty lot, sticking to the shadows. I could feel my own rules changing with every step. The old life, the training, the codes, the hope, felt like a joke. I knew deep down that we might not make it through the next hour, but I also knew there was no going back. A block away from the station, we heard a scream. Not a zombie. A real person. Sarah wanted to help. Oscar shook his head. It's a trap, rookie. They use people as bait now. I hesitated. Every part of me screamed to help, to be the officer I signed up to be, but my feet kept moving away from the sound. I didn't look back. We found a burned-out SUV and huddled behind it, catching our breath. Oscar was bleeding. From a cut, maybe, or maybe more. I wrapped it as best I could with the last clean piece of my shirt. Sarah stared out at the street, gun raised, lips pressed tight. We watched the sun set behind the ruins of our town. Nobody said anything. I felt hollow. Not hopeful, not doomed, just changed. I knew I'd crossed a line. I wasn't the same rookie who wanted to save everyone. Out here, you couldn't, not anymore. Somewhere, far away, another scream echoed. We started walking. No plan, no destination, just forward. The rules were gone. The world was different, and so was I.